And on to the top story this hour. Canada's Liberal Party overwhelmingly elected Mark Carney as its new leader and the country's next Prime Minister. Former central banker Mark Carney secured a landslide victory, winning 85.9% of the vote. Carney, 59, now faces an immediate challenge, navigating rising tensions with Washington. His leadership begins as U.S. President Donald Trump's policies pose growing threats to Canada's sovereignty. Carney vowed to keep tariffs until U.S. shows respect. In a striking declaration, Carney accused Trump's administration of attempting to take over Canada, warning that this effort must be stopped. Well, the U.S. hostage envoy to Gaza, Adam Boehler, held unprecedented direct talks with Hamas and termed the meeting as very helpful. Boehler said he understood Israel's consternation that the United States had held talks at all with the group, but said he had been seeking to jumpstart the fragile negotiations. He was confident a hostage release deal could be reached within weeks. Last week, U.S. President Donald Trump threatened a further destruction of Gaza if all remaining hostages were not released, issuing what he called a last warning to Hamas leaders. Well, of the 251 hostages taken by the Hamas terrorists during the October 7th attack, 58 still remain in Gaza, including 5 Americans, of which 4 have been confirmed dead. Well, Israel is sending a delegation to Doha for further Gaza truce talks on Monday, while Hamas demands negotiations on the ceasefire's second phase, including a full Israeli withdrawal and the lifting of the blockade. Israel seeks to extend the truce until mid-April. Protests in Tel Aviv call for securing the hostages. DD India's Mihir Maikuri has more on this.
Israel is preparing to send a delegation to Doha for further talks on the Gaza truce on Monday, as Hamas calls for the immediate start of negotiations on the ceasefire's second phase, which it hopes will bring a permanent end to the war. Over the weekend, Hamas representatives met with mediators in Cairo, emphasizing the urgent need for unrestricted humanitarian aid to re-enter Gaza, which has been under siege for months. Hamas's key demands for the second phase of the ceasefire includes a full Israeli withdrawal from Gaza, the lifting of the Israeli blockade, the reconstruction of Palestinian territory, and financial support to rebuild the region. On the other hand, Israel seeks an extension of the truce's first phase until mid-April. The first phase of the truce, which ended on March 1, brought 6 weeks of relative calm, including the exchange of 25 Israeli hostages and 8 bodies for about 1,800 Palestinian prisoners. Meanwhile, in Tel Aviv, thousands of Israeli protesters gathered outside the defense ministry, demanding the government secure a hostage deal with Hamas.
The majority of the Israelis are for bringing back the hostages and against starting some military actions back. This is, you can see it in every public poll, and it's very clear. The problem is the government and Mr. Netanyahu.
How these talks unfold and lead to an end to the war will be something interesting to watch. Mihir Makri's report for DD India.
Well, in an effort to pressure Hamas into releasing hostages, Israel ordered an immediate halt to Gaza's electricity supply on Sunday. Israel's decision comes a week after it blocked all the aid supplies to the war-battered territory. Hamas described the electricity cut as blackmail, a term it had also used after Israel blocked the aid. And Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is pushing for renewed peace efforts, expressing hope for progress in bringing peace closer and continuing support ahead of crucial talks with the U.S. In his nightly address from Kyiv, Zelensky vowed to persist in efforts to end the conflict. His remarks come as he prepares to arrive in Saudi Arabia on Monday.
Ми продовжимо працювати заради.
We will continue working to bring peace closer. There will be my visit to Saudi Arabia. Also today, the meetings of our teams, Ukraine and the United States in Saudi Arabia is further prepared. We hope for results both in preparing closer and in continuing support.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is set to visit Saudi Arabia on Monday for key talks with Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. This comes ahead of a crucial meeting between Ukrainian and US officials later this week. The discussions aim to establish a framework for ending Ukraine's ongoing conflict with Russia, but with US aid to Kyiv currently paused, the stakes are high. Here's a report.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's visit to Saudi Arabia comes as Ukraine and the US prepare for critical negotiations over the future of the conflict with Russia. Zelensky will hold key talks with Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman on Monday. This will be followed by Ukrainian diplomatic and military representatives meeting with the American team on Tuesday. The Ukrainian side will include country's Foreign Affairs Minister Andriy Sybiha. Washington's Special Envoy Steve Witkoff confirmed that discussions are underway to finalize the meeting's location in either Riyadh or Jeddah.
We're now in discussions to coordinate a meeting with the Ukrainians in Riyadh or even potentially Jeddah. And I think the idea is to get down a framework for a peace agreement and an initial ceasefire as well.
The talks are particularly significant given that Ukraine was excluded from a February meeting in Riyadh between US and Russian officials. That exclusion raised concerns in Kyiv and among European allies about the direction of US diplomacy. Despite a strained relationship between the two leaders, President Trump recently said that he had received a letter from Zelensky expressing Ukraine's willingness to negotiate. Trump also mentioned Ukraine's interest in signing a minerals deal with the US, a potential economic incentive for Washington's continued support for Kyiv.
I think the mineral deal is under question. For a start, if the Americans are withdrawing with one hand, it puts less pressure on the Ukrainians to do a deal. On the other hand, it is, to be fair, the Ukrainians do want to salvage something from the relationship. I think it's also questionable that President Trump is purely transactional and purely commercial in his interests, because if he were, then actually this deal would have been done last week and he would not have put the Ukrainians off in the manner in which he did, or ambushed them in the manner in which they were.
The meeting in Saudi Arabia is set to take place at a critical moment. US aid to Ukraine is currently on hold, adding pressure on Kyiv as it seeks continued support. European nations have pledged to increase defense spending, but NATO data shows that last year Washington provided over 40% of Ukraine's military aid, something that Europe may struggle to replace. Meanwhile, the battlefield situation remains volatile. Both Russia and Ukraine continue to launch attacks and counterattacks, underscoring the urgency of finding a diplomatic resolution. After a public spat with Donald Trump, Zelensky has now expressed full commitment to a constructive dialogue with the US. The key question now is how would the truce negotiations proceed? What would the Russians agree to, even as they make significant gains on the battlefield? Nupur Praveen reporting for DD India.
Well, billionaire Elon Musk vowed on Sunday to keep Ukraine's Starlink communication network operational despite growing tensions over U.S. policy. His statement comes amid fears that as a Trump ally, he might cut Kyiv off after Washington suspended military aid following a disastrous February 28th Trump-Zelensky meeting. Polish Foreign Minister Radoslaw Sikorski challenged Musk, warning that Poland funds Starlink access and could seek alternatives. Musk fired back, calling Sikorski small man. The clash escalated as U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio sided with Musk, insisting Ukraine would have lost the conflict without Starlink. And Syria's interim president Ahmed al-Sharaa has launched an investigation after hundreds of people were killed in fighting between security forces and the loyalists of deposed President Bashar al-Assad. In a televised speech, Ahmed Sharaa vowed to hunt down the perpetrators of violent clashes after reports of mass killings.
We confirm that we will hold accountable with all firmness and without leniency Anyone who was involved in the bloodshed of civilians or harmed our people, or who exceeded the powers of the state or exploited power to achieve his own goals.
Well, in its latest poll on Monday, the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights War Monitor said 973 civilians had perished since March 6th in the coastal heartland of the Alawite minority community to which the toppled president belongs. United Nations Right Chief Volker Turk said on Sunday that the killings must cease immediately, while the Arab League, the United Nations, the United States, Britain and other governments have condemned the violence. And Greenland is holding general elections on the 11th of March. The sparsely populated island has caught global attention as US President Donald Trump has set his eyes on acquiring the mineral-rich territory from Denmark for economic and strategic purposes. Meanwhile, indigenous identity is seeing a revival and call for independence is getting louder in Greenland. DD India correspondent Shubhendu Ghosh brings us more.
We need Greenland for national security and even international security. And I think we're going to get it. One way or the other, we're going to get it.
US President Donald Trump's unambiguous interest in Greenland has shaken the status quo in the world's largest island this election season. Some see it as a historic opportunity to push for freedom from Danish influence, while others caution a rashly attained independence may make Greenland more vulnerable to the expansionist ambitions of the American president. Greenlanders vote in the general elections on March 11th. Greenland's parliament is called Inatsisartut. The parliament comprises 31 members and elections are held every 4 years. Greenland is not divided into electoral districts. The whole of Greenland constitutes a single constituencies. A total of 6 parties and 213 candidates are in the fray in these elections. At present, Greenland operates a semi-autonomous territory under the Kingdom of Denmark. Indigenous identity is seeing a revival in Greenland ahead of the elections. All the main parties support independence, but they differ on how and when it could be achieved. The ruling Inuit Ataqatigiit IA party, a left-wing faction headed by Prime Minister Mute Ege, advocates an unhurried approach to Greenland's independence. On the other hand, Greenland's largest opposition party, Nalerak, and its leader, Pelle Broberg, want to see a swift transition to full independence.
The idea, the vision of becoming independent and being here in our own house has been a long time coming. It has been going on for many decades. It is nothing new. It has not just happened.
I want to make it very clear that in the eyes of the Danish government, Greenland is for the Greenlandic people. It is a very proud people with its own language and culture. It is a people that is their own. And as the chairman of the government of Greenland has stated before, Greenland is not for sale.
In addition to the question of independence, the country's relations with Denmark and the US, social services, tourism, as well as its fragile fishing and Danish grants-dependent economy are the main voter concerns. As a country, Greenland would be the 12th largest in the world by area. It is also the least populated region with a population of around 57,000 scattered in a few coastal towns and remote settlements. Almost 80% of Greenland's landmass is covered by the ice sheet. The sparsely populated region is believed to hold billions of tons of untapped rare earth minerals and oil reserves. Greenland's strategic location and resources make it an attractive acquisition for the American president. US already has a military base in northwest of Greenland. The general elections are expected to reveal where and how the Greenlanders see their future. Shubhendu Ghosh's report for DD India.
And still to come in this edition of DD India Live. Indian Parliament's budget session resumes with key bills lined up for discussion and passage. Prime Minister Modi to visit Mauritius on March 11th and 12th to attend National Day celebrations of the country. Celebrations erupted in India and abroad after India won another cricket tournament with a 4-wicket victory over New Zealand.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Lupakshi Kurana. Moving on, India and the 27-nation European Union bloc will start the 10th round of negotiations for a proposed free trade agreement in Brussels. The talks are expected to focus on resolving remaining issues so that the agreement can be finalized by the end of this year. The talks in Brussels from March 10th to March 14th come immediately on the heels of top-level engagement between the two sides, with the European Commission's President Ursula von der Leyen and a full college of commissioners visiting India late last month for detailed talks on the entire spectrum of the relationship. Well, the second part of the Indian Parliament budget session is all set to resume on Monday, with key bills to be taken up for discussion and passage. The Tribhuvan Sehakari University Bill 2025 will be taken up for consideration and passing. Union Minister Amit Shah to move the bill to establish the Institute of Rural Management Anand as a university to be known as the Tribhuvan Sehakari University and to declare the same as an institution of national importance. The Bills of Lading Bill 2024 will also be introduced for consideration and passing. The bill to make provisions for the transfer of rights of suit and all liabilities to the consignee named in a bill of lading and every endorsee of a bill of lading. And the Indian High Commissioner to Mauritius, Anurag Srivastava, has shared key insights ahead of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's upcoming state visit. High Commissioner Srivastava highlighted the enduring people-to-people connections that form the foundation of the strong relationship between India and Mauritius. He emphasized the shared cultural heritage and the vibrant ties that have flourished over the years. DD India's Akshay Dongre brings this exclusive report.
Excitement is brewing up in Mauritius as Prime Minister Narendra Modi is all set to arrive in the country. Both the countries share very close relations, but with this state visit of Prime Minister, the relations are expected to grow to newer heights. And to talk about this state visit, we have the Ambassador of India to Mauritius, Mr. Anurag Srivastava. Sir, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is expected to come and be the chief guest of the National Day of Mauritius. How significant do you think is this visit by the Prime Minister?
This is a very significant visit. Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji's visit, which is coming up on the 11th and 12th of March, is on the invitation of Prime Minister Dr. Naveen Chandra Ramgoolam, and Prime Minister Modi has been invited to be the chief guest at the National Day celebrations of Mauritius on the 12th of March. The date 12th March is of great significance to both countries. It is, of course, the day when Mauritius became independent. It was also the day when it was declared as a republic. But at the same time, this day was particularly chosen for a certain reason. This is the day when Mahatma Gandhi started his Dandi March from Sabarmati Ashram. So it is a day which holds significance to both countries. This visit is very high on symbolism. It is also very high in terms of our substantive outcomes and content. Because this is a truly special relationship.
Do you think this people-to-people connect is perhaps one of the very rare kind of connect that you see around the world between two countries?
Absolutely. This is a truly special relationship, as I said, because it is placed on the bedrock of our strong people-to-people ties. And these shared bonds of history, the shared bonds of culture, heritage and kinship that bind us together is the strength of the relationship. But at the same time, I must add that this relationship has evolved into a modern partnership which is very multifaceted. So Mauritius is our partner in terms of our interests in the Indian Ocean region. It is a maritime security partner. We have a development partnership relationship with Mauritius.
Indian High Commissioner to Mauritius, Mr. Anurag Srivastav, telling us about all the preparations that are going on and the excitement that is brewing up in this island nation for the arrival of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. With camera person Ajit Kumar, I'm Akshay Dumbre, DD India.
And India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh made history as the first Defence Minister to visit the Indian Air Force's Institute of Aerospace Medicine in Bengaluru on Sunday. During his visit, Singh was briefed on the Institute's role in pilot training and medical evaluation. He also inspected advanced simulators used for training pilots in high-G environments and spatial disorientation. The minister launched the Indian Council of Medical Research's Extramurals Research Project focused on space psychology and astronaut health for Indian space missions. Meanwhile, the first rare fuselage for the light combat aircraft Mk-1A produced by Indian private company Alpha Tokol Engineering Services was handed over to Hindustan Aeronautics Limited in the presence of Defence Minister. The Defence Minister called the event a milestone in India's defence manufacturing, reflecting progress towards self-reliance. And on to some sports news now. Definitely a big moment for Indian cricketing fans. India clinched a thrilling 4-wicket win over New Zealand in the final of Champions Trophy 2025 to clinch the ICC event for a record-breaking third time. Chasing 252 against the Black Caps, India reached home in 49 overs at the Dubai International Cricket Stadium. Indian spinners put up a splendid show, helping the team restrict the Black Cap for 251 for 7. Kuldeep Yadav and Varun Chakravarti picked 2 wickets apiece, while Ravindra Jadeja and Mohammad Shami scalped 1 wicket each. Daryl Mitchell and Michael Bracewell played crucial knocks for the Black Caps. In the chase, India got off to a flying start thanks to Rohit Sharma's dominating 76. Shreyas Iyer and KL Rahul also played crucial knocks as India edged past New Zealand. While fans across India and all over the world were seen joyously celebrating India's big victory, there was pure, raw emotions in the eyes of every cricketing fan as they all came out on the streets at night to celebrate the men in blue. And India's President Draupadi Murmu congratulated the Indian cricket team for the big win. In a post on X, President Murmu said, and I quote, "Heartiest congratulations to Team India for winning the ICC Champions Trophy 2025. India becomes the only team to win the trophy thrice. The players, the management and the support staff deserve highest accolades for creating cricketing history. I wish Indian cricket a very bright future," unquote. And India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi also congratulated the Indian cricket team on clinching the ICC Champions Trophy title. In a post on microblogging site X, Prime Minister Modi said, and I quote, "An exceptional game and an exceptional result. Proud of our cricket team for bringing home the ICC Champions Trophy. They played wonderfully throughout the tournament. Congratulations to our team for the splendid all-around display," unquote. All right, that's all for this edition of DD India Live. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Khurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.